Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Think about your life right now. Think about where you are, the decisions you've made, the opportunities you've taken, and the ones you've let pass by. Now, ask yourself honestly, how much longer are you willing to wait before you step into the life you've always dreamed about? Too many people live their entire lives on standby. They keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll wait until I have more money. I'll wait until the time is right. But let me tell you something. There is no perfect time. The perfect time is a myth. Waiting for the perfect time is the perfect excuse. And excuses will never build your future. The truth is this: the only time you have is now. Right now, in this very moment, is where your future begins. Every single decision you make today is shaping your tomorrow. If you keep putting your dreams on hold, your future will keep slipping further away from you. But if you decide right now to stop waiting, to stop doubting, to stop making excuses, you can start building a future so powerful, so fulfilling, so extraordinary that the person you are today won't even recognize the person you become tomorrow. You've got to break free from the story you keep telling yourself, the story that says you're not ready, you're not good enough, or you don't have what it takes. That story is a lie. You already have everything you need within you. What you're missing is not resources. It's resourcefulness. It's not opportunity. It's courage. The courage to take the first step even when the path isn't clear. The courage to leap before you feel ready. Every person you admire, every leader, every innovator, every world changer, they all started with a decision to stop waiting, a decision to start building. They didn't know all the answers. They didn't have a guarantee, but they had a vision and they had the courage to act on it. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. So ask yourself, what future are you building right now? If you keep doing what you're doing, where will you be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Are you moving closer to your vision, or are you just running in circles, waiting for the stars to align? Your future doesn't care about your excuses. Your future doesn't care about your fears. Your future only cares about what you decide to do today, because every day you delay, you're digging yourself deeper into regret. But every day you take action, even the smallest step, you're stacking bricks toward the life you want. Listen, you don't have to take giant leaps overnight. You don't have to build the whole future in a single day. You just have to start with one step. Start with one decision. Start with one bold action that aligns with the life you're meant to live. Because once you start, momentum takes over. And momentum is power. There are people in this room right now who are sitting on dreams so big they scare them. Dreams of starting a business, writing a book, building a legacy, changing lives, breaking cycles, and leaving a mark on this world. But those dreams will remain locked inside you unless you take action today. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone to come and rescue you. Stop waiting for the perfect circumstances. You are the one you've been waiting for. This is your time. This is your moment. The clock is ticking and your future is calling. The question is, will you answer or will you keep hitting snooze? I challenge you today to make a decision that you will not go back to the old patterns of waiting. A decision that you will take action every single day, no matter how small, no matter how scary, no matter how uncertain. Because action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action transforms your future. So stop waiting. Start building. Start now. Start today. Start creating the life you were destined to live. Your future is not something you wait for. It's something you create with your own two hands, your own heart, and your own unstoppable willpower. We have all been conditioned to wait. From the time we are children, we're told to wait until we're older, wait until we're ready, wait until we have enough, wait until we feel confident, wait until the stars align and the timing is right. But life doesn't wait. Opportunity doesn't wait. The truth is, there is no perfect time. Waiting becomes a trap, and that trap is where dreams go to die. Think about how many people have ideas, visions, goals that could change their lives forever, but they're stuck in this cycle of waiting. They say, I'll start when I have more money. I'll try when I have more support. I'll chase my dreams when my situation improves. But if you keep waiting for everything to line up perfectly, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. Perfection is an illusion, and it's the most seductive form of procrastination. You convince yourself you're being smart, cautious, strategic, when in reality you're just paralyzed by fear. Waiting gives you comfort, but it steals your future. Waiting keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. People waste years waiting for the perfect conditions that will never come. The world is constantly changing. The ground beneath your feet will never stop shifting. And if you don't learn to move despite the uncertainty, you'll get left behind. You can't build anything extraordinary while sitting still. You can't create the life you want by hesitating. Every second you hesitate is a second lost, a second you'll never get back. Waiting is the silent killer of ambition. It disguises itself as patience, but it's not patience, it's avoidance. It's avoidance of risk, avoidance of failure, avoidance of responsibility. When you tell yourself you're waiting, what you're really saying is that fear is in control. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid of not being enough. But let me tell you, failure is not the worst outcome. Regret is. Regret will eat you alive. Regret will keep you up at night, replaying all the moments you could have acted but didn't. Regret will weigh on you heavier than any failure ever could. And here's the truth. Failure is not final. Failure teaches. Failure builds resilience. Failure shapes you into the person capable of handling success. Regret does nothing but remind you of the life you didn't have the courage to live. You've got to break the illusion that there will ever be a flawless moment to begin. There won't be. You'll never have all the money, all the resources, all the knowledge, all the support you think you need. But you don't need perfect to start. You just need to start. You need to take that first step with whatever you have right now, because starting creates momentum, and momentum is more powerful than waiting for the right conditions. The moment you take action, doors open. Opportunities appear. People come into your life who never would have shown up if you stayed still. Action attracts energy. Waiting repels it. Look at the people who inspire you, the people you admire. None of them began when things were perfect. They began when things were messy, uncertain, chaotic. They began with doubts, fears, and limited resources. They started in the middle of imperfection and created something extraordinary because they refused to wait. They knew that progress is born in action, not in hesitation. If they had waited for the perfect time, they would still be waiting. And the world would never have seen what they were capable of. Think about your own life. How many times have you told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? How many times have you looked back and said, I wish I had begun sooner? Imagine where you'd be today if you had taken action 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Imagine how much progress you could have made, how different your life could look right now. The cost of waiting is not just time, it's opportunity, growth, and transformation that will never come back. The truth is, you don't need more time, you need more urgency. You need to realize that every day you wait, you're choosing to stay in the same place. Every day you wait, you're saying no to the future you could be living. Every day you wait, you're giving away your power to circumstances instead of taking control. You have to make a shift in your mind and accept that imperfect action will always beat perfect intentions. Intentions don't change lives, actions do. You don't need permission to begin. You don't need approval. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to decide that you are done waiting. Decide that your dreams are worth the discomfort. Decide that progress matters more than perfection. Decide that fear will not hold the pen that writes the story of your life. The minute you decide, the minute you act, everything changes. Life rewards action, not hesitation. Waiting is the enemy of progress because progress can only be born through motion. It's the law of momentum. An object at rest stays at rest, but an object in motion stays in motion. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to break free. Waiting creates inertia, and inertia creates stagnation. The only way to fight it is with movement, with energy, with action. The smallest step forward is infinitely more valuable than standing still. So understand this, the perfect time does not exist. The perfect time will never arrive. If you are waiting for a sign, this is it. If you are waiting for clarity, take a step and clarity will follow. If you are waiting for courage, act first and courage will show up after. Action precedes confidence. Action precedes growth. Action precedes transformation. The world belongs to the ones who dare to move, not to the ones who wait. The ones who build their future are not the ones with perfect timing. They are the ones with relentless commitment. They know that waiting is the slowest form of death and action is the fastest path to life. They know that every day wasted is a dream delayed. And they know that the only way to create the future they desire is to start building it now with everything they have, exactly where they are, without hesitation and without delay every single day. You are shaping your future whether you realize it or not. The decisions you make in this moment, the actions you choose to take, the habits you repeat consistently, they are laying down the bricks of the life you are going to live tomorrow. So many people believe their future will magically arrive as if one day they will just wake up and step into a destiny that was handed to them. But the reality is much different. Your future is not a lottery ticket. It is not something you stumble into by chance. It is the result of what you decide, what you believe, and what you do every single day. The person you will become is being created right now through the choices you make. When you wake up in the morning and hit snooze, that's a decision. When you choose to spend your time scrolling endlessly instead of learning, building, creating, that's a decision. When you put off a project, avoid a conversation, or delay taking that bold step, that's a decision. And every decision carries a consequence. You are either moving yourself forward or you are holding yourself back. There is no neutral. Even inaction is a decision, and it shapes your future just as powerfully as action does. Think about the compound effect of your choices. One decision might feel small, almost invisible, but when repeated over time, it builds momentum. The decision to take care of your health day by day creates vitality and strength. The decision to learn one new skill consistently creates opportunities that didn't exist before. The decision to show up for yourself every single day, even when you don't feel like it, builds confidence and resilience. These are the building blocks of your future. They may not look significant in the moment, but in the long run, they determine everything. The most dangerous lie you can tell yourself is that today doesn't matter. That one choice won't make a difference. That you can get serious later, but later never comes, and the future you create is always being decided right now. Every time you decide to wait, you're giving away a piece of the life you could have built. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're investing in a weaker version of your future self. Every time you choose fear over courage, you're reinforcing limitations instead of breaking them. It's not the big dramatic moments that shape your destiny. It's the daily choices, the consistent actions, the habits no one sees. Success is not built in a single day, but it is built daily. Your future is not designed in one grand gesture. It is designed in the small steps you take consistently, the promises you keep to yourself, the discipline you build when no one is watching. That's why what you do today matters so much, because today is the only time you actually control. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow isn't here, and the only place you can take action is in this moment. Look back at your life for a moment. Who you are right now is the result of all the choices you've made up to this point. Some decisions were empowering, some were limiting, some you're proud of, some you regret, but together they have created your present reality. Now think about that. If your present reality is the sum of your past decisions, then your future reality will be the sum of the decisions you make from here forward. That means you have power. That means you have control. That means no matter what has happened before, you can choose differently today and begin to build a different tomorrow. Too often, people underestimate the power of daily decisions. They want transformation, but they ignore the simple steps that create it. They think one day their dream life will just appear, but it won't. It must be built. And the raw materials of your future are the decisions and actions you take today. Every single moment you choose discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, progress over procrastination, you are laying bricks for a stronger future. Every single time you choose to take that phone call, write that page, attend that meeting, go to the gym, speak up, invest in yourself, you are building. Every single time you choose not to, you are eroding the foundation of your future. And here's the truth, your future self is depending on you. The person you will be in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years is shaped entirely by the choices you make today. Imagine meeting that future self. Would they thank you for the sacrifices you made, the courage you showed, the work you put in, the risks you took? Or would they look at you with disappointment, wishing you had made different choices, wishing you had been bolder, wishing you had believed more in what was possible? That person is not some stranger. It's you. And the relationship you have with your future self is determined right now by how you show up today. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every extraordinary future begins with a decision. A decision to no longer settle, a decision to act, a decision to move forward no matter how small the step. You cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control your decisions. And when you commit to making decisions that align with your vision and follow them with action, you begin to build a future that excites you instead of one that drains you. Stop waiting for circumstances to create your future for you. Circumstances will always change, but decisions are yours. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to build your dreams for you. Your life is built by your choices, and every day you are either building or destroying. There is no middle ground. When you understand this, you stop treating today casually. You stop throwing away hours as if they don't matter. You begin to value time, value decisions, value actions. You begin to live with intention. The decisions you make today are your vote for the future you want to experience. When you say yes to discipline, you're voting for strength. When you say yes to learning, you're voting for wisdom. When you say yes to courage, you're voting for freedom. Every choice is a brick, and you are the builder. It doesn't matter how high the walls of doubt have been in your past. You can choose today to build something new. You can choose to redirect the entire course of your life by deciding to take ownership of the present. Your future is not waiting to be discovered. It is waiting to be created. It is not something you stumble upon. It is something you craft. And the only tools you have are the decisions you make today and the actions you take right now. Every day is a construction site. Every decision is a brick. Every action is the cement that holds it all together. What you choose to do in this moment is shaping the foundation of the rest of your life. Excuses are the silent poison of potential. They creep into your mind dressed as rational explanations, and they convince you that it's okay not to act, not to try, not to step forward. Excuses sound logical. They make you feel safe. They protect your ego from the sting of failure and shield you from the discomfort of growth. But in reality, excuses are the chains that keep you tied to the life you say you don't want. Every time you make an excuse, you hand over your power. Every time you justify inaction, you give away another piece of your dream. Think about how often excuses show up in daily life. I don't have enough time. I don't have the money. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. What if I fail? These statements seem harmless, but they are deadly. They are deadly because they don't just stop you once. They become habits. They become your default response to opportunity. They program your mind to shrink when it should expand, to retreat when it should advance, to surrender when it should fight. Excuses don't just kill one dream, they kill the muscle of belief inside of you. And once that muscle weakens, it becomes harder and harder to break free. On the other side of excuses is courage. Courage doesn't mean you are fearless. Courage means you act in spite of fear. Courage is when you look at the same situation that gives you every reason to quit and instead say, I'm going anyway. Courage doesn't eliminate the obstacles, but it gives you the strength to face them head on. Courage doesn't promise success, but it guarantees progress. Every act of courage moves you forward, while every excuse keeps you exactly where you are. Action is the proof of courage. Action is the moment you take an idea from your head and plant it into reality. Action is what separates dreamers from doers. You can talk about your vision for years. You can imagine it, plan it, strategize about it, but until you take action, nothing changes. Excuses talk, courage acts. Excuses delay, action creates. Excuses comfort, courage builds. Look at anyone who has achieved something great. Their story is not one of excuses. They had the same fears, the same doubts, the same lack of resources that you do, but they chose courage over excuses. They chose action over hesitation. They built their future brick by brick, not because they had guarantees, but because they refused to let excuses define them. That is the difference. Not talent, not luck, not connections, just the decision to stop listening to excuses and start listening to the voice of courage. Excuses are seductive because they absolve you of responsibility. They let you blame the economy, your upbringing, your circumstances, your lack of support. They make you believe it's not your fault, and in the moment that feels comforting. But that comfort is expensive. It costs you your freedom. Because as long as you believe your excuses, you also believe you have no control. And when you have no control, you cannot change. Courage, on the other hand, is ownership. Courage says, this is my life, and I take full responsibility for what I do with it. Courage doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It creates it. Courage doesn't wait for someone else's approval. It validates itself. Courage doesn't wait for certainty. It embraces risk. Courage is uncomfortable, but it is the birthplace of everything you want. Action is how courage proves itself. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be real. One step, one decision, one move forward is enough to break the grip of excuses. Action builds momentum, and momentum destroys excuses. The moment you act, you realize that the story you were telling yourself about why you couldn't was never true. You realize that fear shrinks the moment you face it. You realize that progress was always available. You just had to move. Excuses also love to disguise themselves as waiting for the right time. How many times have you said, I'll start when I have more money, more energy, more knowledge, more support? That's an excuse wrapped in patience. The right time will never come. There is only now. If you let excuses convince you that later is better, later becomes never. Courage doesn't wait for later. Courage starts now. Action doesn't wait for readiness. Action creates readiness. There's another truth about excuses. They multiply. The more you allow them, the stronger they become. One excuse opens the door for another, and before you know it, you have built a wall of reasons why your dream is impossible. That wall feels real, but it's built from fear. Courage is the hammer that breaks it down, and action is the force that pushes you through. Imagine your dream life for a moment. Imagine the business you want to start, the body you want to build, the relationships you want to create, the freedom you want to experience. Now ask yourself, what has stopped you so far? Was it truly impossible? Or did you let excuses take over? If you're honest, Most of the time, it's the latter. The only thing standing between you and that vision is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. And that story is not truth, it's an excuse. Excuses are easy, courage is hard. But only one of them will change your life. Excuses protect your ego today, but destroy your potential tomorrow. Courage risks your ego today, but builds a life worth living tomorrow. Excuses give you temporary comfort, but permanent regret. Courage gives you temporary discomfort, but permanent growth. The reason courage and action matter so much is because they create momentum. Momentum is the enemy of excuses. Once you begin, once you move, once you step forward, you discover that most of the barriers were in your mind. You realize that what felt impossible is only difficult, and what felt terrifying is survivable. You realize that you are capable of more than you imagined. And each act of courage, each step of action strengthens you for the next one. When you look at people who are stuck, you'll see a pattern. They're drowning in excuses. When you look at people who are thriving, you'll see a different pattern. They're fueled by courage and relentless action. The difference isn't circumstances, it's mindset. One side chooses to explain why they can't. The other side chooses to find how they can. And whichever you choose, that's the direction your life will go. At the end of the day, excuses will never give you the life you want. They will only keep you chained to the life you've settled for. But courage and action will open doors you didn't know existed. They will put you in rooms you never thought you'd enter. They will build a version of you that your past self would be amazed to see. Excuses destroy. Courage and action create. The choice is yours, and it begins the moment you decide to stop explaining why you can't and start proving why you can. So many people look at their dreams and feel paralyzed by the size of them. They see the mountain in front of them and think they need to leap to the top in one giant move. So instead of starting, they freeze. They convince themselves that because they can't do it all at once, it's not even worth doing it all. But that is the lie that keeps millions of people stuck exactly where they are. The truth is that success is never about one big leap. It's about small, consistent steps repeated over time. Those steps are what build momentum, and momentum is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Think about the way momentum works in life. If you try to push a heavy boulder from a standstill, it feels impossible. It won't move. You push and it barely shifts. But once you get it moving even just a little, every push becomes easier. The weight doesn't change, but the momentum makes it feel lighter. That's how life works. Starting is the hardest part, but once you begin to take small actions consistently, you tap into the power of momentum, and suddenly things that once felt overwhelming become natural. Consistency is the secret ingredient that most people ignore. Everyone is obsessed with intensity. They want to go all in for one day, 1 week, one burst of energy, and then they collapse when the results don't show up instantly. But consistency beats intensity every single time. One workout doesn't change your body, but exercising regularly does. One day of discipline doesn't transform your finances, but consistent habits do. One conversation doesn't create a deep relationship, but consistent communication does. Small steps may look insignificant, but over time they stack into something powerful. The reason consistency is so powerful is because it compounds. Imagine dropping a single drop of water on a rock. One drop does nothing. 10 drops do nothing. But if that water keeps dripping day after day, year after year, it carves into the rock itself. That is the power of consistency. Small actions may not look like they matter in the moment, but over time they change everything. And when you link consistency with momentum, you become unstoppable. Momentum has a way of changing not just your actions, but your identity. When you take small steps consistently, you begin to see yourself differently. Each step is a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you are disciplined, that you are capable, that you are moving forward. That identity shift is even more powerful than the results themselves, because once you see yourself as someone who takes consistent action, you will continue to do it naturally. The beauty of momentum is that it multiplies effort. What feels hard at the beginning becomes easier as you move forward. At first, discipline feels heavy. At first, every step feels like a battle. But then you start to see progress. You start to feel stronger, more confident, more focused. That progress fuels motivation, and that motivation fuels more action. What once took all your willpower becomes second nature. You no longer have to force yourself because momentum carries you forward. Think of riding a bicycle. The hardest part is the first few pedals when the wheels feel stuck and you wobble, struggling to balance. But once you start rolling, you barely have to push to keep going. Life is the same. The beginning is uncomfortable, uncertain, awkward. But if you keep showing up and keep taking those small steps, the momentum you create will make the journey smoother. Soon, what once felt impossible will feel effortless. This is why it's so important to value small steps. Too often, people dismiss them. They say, it's not enough, it's too little, it won't make a difference. But the truth is, the difference between success and failure is usually whether or not someone honored the small steps. Writing 1 page a day doesn't feel like much, but a year later you have a book. Saving a small amount each week doesn't feel like much, but over time it builds wealth. Choosing to learn one new skill consistently doesn't feel like much, but in time it transforms your career. It's never about the size of the step, it's about the direction and the consistency. Momentum also has another incredible effect. It breaks resistance. The hardest part of any task is starting. The resistance before you begin is often worse than the task itself. Your mind creates excuses, distractions, reasons to delay. But the moment you take one small action, the resistance begins to dissolve. It's like a plane on a runway. The greatest energy is required during takeoff, but once it's in the air, it cruises with ease. Small, consistent steps are your takeoff. They break through resistance and get you in motion. And once you're in motion, everything becomes easier. Another reason momentum is so powerful is because it creates opportunities. Action attracts opportunities that standing still never will. When you're moving, people notice. When you're building, resources appear. When you're showing progress, doors open that would have remained closed if you had been waiting for the perfect moment. Momentum doesn't just move you forward, it brings the world to you. And perhaps the greatest thing about momentum is that it's self-sustaining. Once you've built it, it requires less energy to maintain than it did to create. This is why many people who achieve success seem unstoppable. They've built so much momentum that their growth becomes automatic. But that didn't happen overnight. It started with small, consistent steps, repeated long enough to create an unstoppable force. The key is to stop underestimating the power of small. Small is the seed of great. Small is the beginning of unstoppable. Small is what builds trust in yourself. Small is what stacks into massive results. You don't need to leap to the top of the mountain in one move. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. With consistency, those steps turn into momentum, and momentum turns into transformation. The difference between people who dream and people who achieve is rarely about talent or resources. It's about momentum. The achievers are the ones who kept taking small steps even when it felt like nothing was happening. They trusted the process, they honored the consistency, and eventually they became unstoppable. While others waited for motivation, they created it through action. While others stopped when it felt too small, they kept going until small turned into massive. Momentum is your greatest ally. It will carry you further than discipline alone, further than motivation alone, further than willpower alone. But it only comes from starting small and staying consistent. If you commit to that, nothing can hold you back, because the force of momentum will always be greater than the weight of resistance. Every single person walking this earth has been given the gift of choice. Choice is the blueprint of destiny. Too many people go through life as if they are passengers sitting in the back seat waiting for someone else to drive them to the life they want. They live as though their future is predetermined, as if they have no say, no control, no ability to shape what happens next. But that belief is one of the greatest lies we are taught. You are not a passenger. You are not a bystander. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are the architect of your destiny. And the sooner you claim that truth, the sooner you will step into the life you were meant to live. Think of an architect designing a building. They don't wait for the building to magically appear. They don't hope the structure will fall into place by accident. They draw the plans. They make decisions about every detail, every corner, every foundation. Then they begin to build piece by piece, brick by brick. Your life works the same way. If you don't design it, someone else will. If you don't choose, the world will choose for you. And if you don't build intentionally, you will end up living in a structure you never wanted, trapped inside walls you never chose. The truth is, you already are designing your future. Every thought you think, every decision you make, every habit you repeat is part of the blueprint. The question is not whether you are an architect. The question is whether you are building consciously or unconsciously. Are you actively shaping your destiny, or are you letting it be shaped by fear, by doubt, by other people's opinions, by excuses, by circumstances? Taking ownership means refusing to leave the design of your life in the hands of anyone or anything else. To be the architect of your destiny, you must start now. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when the timing feels right. Now, every day you delay is another day you allow your life to be built without your input. Every day you wait is another day the foundation settles in ways that may not serve you. Destiny is not something that happens to you. It's something you build. And just like a building, the earlier you start, the stronger and more aligned your foundation will be. Being the architect requires vision. You cannot build what you cannot see. You must be willing to imagine a future beyond your current circumstances, to see possibilities that others might dismiss, to design something greater than what you've been given. Vision is your blueprint, and without it, you will build by accident. People without vision live in reaction, constantly responding to whatever life throws at them. People with vision live in creation, constantly aligning their actions with the future they are building. But vision alone is not enough. An architect doesn't stop at the blueprint. They begin construction. You cannot just dream. You must act. You cannot just imagine. You must build. Dreams without action are fantasies. Action without vision is chaos. But vision combined with action creates destiny. This means taking responsibility for the steps you take daily. It means asking yourself whether what you're doing today matches the blueprint of the life you want tomorrow. It means becoming intentional with your time, your energy, your choices, because every piece you lay down becomes part of the structure of your life. Being the architect also means embracing responsibility. You cannot blame anyone else for what you choose to build. Circumstances may influence the materials you start with, but they do not dictate the structure you create. Some people are handed wealth, privilege, opportunity. Others are handed hardship, struggle, pain. But in both cases, the individual must still decide what they will build with what they have. Some of the greatest structures in history were built on rough ground with limited resources by people who refused to let their starting point define their future. Your past is the ground you build on, but your decisions are the design that rises above it. One of the most powerful truths about being the architect of your destiny is that you don't need to know the entire plan before you begin. An architect doesn't start with every single detail finalized. They start with the vision and then refine it as they build. Your life is the same. You don't need to know every step. You just need to begin with the vision of what you want and the courage to lay the first brick. Clarity comes through action. Confidence comes through progress. Destiny is revealed through building, not waiting. Understand this, nobody else can build it for you. People may help, people may support, people may guide, but the responsibility is yours. If you wait for someone else to design your future, you will end up living theirs instead of yours. If you wait for someone else to hand you the life you want, you will wait forever. This is your design. This is your responsibility. This is your creation. And the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you reclaim your power. The most dangerous thing you can do is to drift. Drifting through life is like handing your blueprint to chance. Drifting is when you wake up each day without purpose, when you move through routines without intention, when you accept whatever happens instead of creating what you want. Drifting feels easy, but it builds nothing. And one day you wake up trapped inside walls you never chose, living a life you never wanted, filled with regret because you didn't realize sooner that you were the architect all along. But when you claim your role as architect, everything changes. You begin to live with purpose. You begin to shape each day as a brick in the structure of your vision. You begin to value time because you see it as building material. You begin to choose courage because you know fear doesn't belong in your design. You begin to take ownership because you know no one else will do it for you. And day by day, choice by choice, step by step, you build a destiny that reflects who you are and who you were always meant to be. Destiny is not magic. Destiny is design. Destiny is not luck. Destiny is choice. Destiny is not waiting. Destiny is building. And you are the architect, whether you accept it or not. The only question that remains is what kind of future you are going to design and whether you are willing to start building it now.